Friends, Nikki's not here tonight, and I'm going to cook. And I'm a pretty good cook. I'm not like a cook like she is or anything, but I can cook. And we've been using some of these meals, which Nikki got a special deal or something on it. And so these are the Home Chef meals. I don't know if you've seen these before. They send them to you. It says Home Chef on the box there. They come packed in like some massive ice and stuff like this. So a shipment came in today. We got kind of, like I say, a special deal on this to try it. I got to say, every meal I've eaten so far that from this outfit is great. It's the same people that do Kroger foods, and it's like restaurant quality. I got a couple of GoPros tonight. This is not a fancy recording. I've got this. This is what I'm trying to cook tonight. This Honey Mustard Glazed Salmon. Honey Mustard Glazed Salmon. There you go. And that is the instructions for how to do it. So I'm going to follow these the best I can. And Nikki's put out some utensils and things for me. She's actually put a pan lined with foil over here so I can do it. And I know I got to have the oven preheated to 400. So I'm going to go ahead and start that oven preheating. And I'm just going to try to cook tonight and let's see if I can get through this like she typically would. I'm going to get a knife over here, a couple knives. Boy, it'd be nice if the knife that I want were here and clean. Instead, I got this massive knife. I don't like this massive knife, but I'm going to use this paring knife too in the process here. Let's turn our oven on to 400. So the oven's preheating, and we're going to cook some potatoes and things. So everything, like here's what happens: you get this salmon, and that's that. I'll have to pat that, wash it, and pat it. You get all these ingredients here that come in the bag. I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, I see. It does have a little thing right here, doesn't it? Excellent. So we've got some slaw type stuff that goes in there. We've got some little green onions. We got a apple, which I'm not sure what kind that is. Pink Lady maybe or something like that. What does it say? It does say what kind it is here in a minute. I'll look and see. We've got the little bag of potatoes. And we've got some various different seasonings and things here. And that's really all there is to this. And most of these things are fairly simple. This one says it's an intermediate level of hardness to do. Hardness to do, that's the word. Difficulty. Cut potatoes into 1/2 dice. I'm going to wash these off a little. Okay, so I have washed the potatoes just to be safe. And it says cut the potatoes into 1/2 inch dice. I do like, there's a different knife that I like to use for this. And folks, I am not some sort of chef or anything, so don't expect to see fancy things. Just hope and pray that I don't cut a finger off. Those fingers are pretty important to me since I'm a guitar player. But I am gonna do these things, do it like this. And I may be doing this bigger than I need to be. Nikki, I'm sure, would criticize that if she were to see it. But it says I'm supposed to do them 1/2 inch dice, maybe a little bit more than that, right? Yeah, I'm not being very artistic about this, my friends. But I think it's going to work. My wife is so much faster and more efficient. But Nikki used to run a restaurant. She actually owned a restaurant up in the mountains. And so she was an entrepreneur. Me, I'm just the guy that had a good time. I get and find some of Mom and Dad. Mom had all these old cooking books from the 60s, like Betty Crocker and I don't know what all it, Better Homes and Gardens, or something called Better Homes. It was a red. I know this is like something she bought back about 1965, 66, something like that. It was a big red book, and it had hundreds of recipes in there. And a lot of times, Mom and Dad maybe go do something, go to a meeting. Dad was a big union man. So he would go to the union meeting stuff, and I would, and my brothers might be staying with my grandmother or something, and I would cook. Almost every time they were out, I'd experiment with something. I made a baked Alaska one time. I just do some crazy things as a kid. And most of it turned out okay. I didn't waste a whole lot of food, I don't think. Mom would have killed me if she'd known. But she kind of knew I was going to mess around, and she kind of let me do it. And, of course, I'd watch what she cooked, too. But I was kind of an independent type. So I cut these potatoes, placed the potatoes on 1/2 of a prepared baking sheet, and toss with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, seasoning blend, and a pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper. Massage oil in the potatoes. So we're going to do all of that, all of the above. We're going to put those potatoes over here onto this thing. And I'm supposed to put it on one side of it. So that's precisely what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go over here. And let's follow that thing pretty much to the instructions here, what it says to do. 2 tablespoons of olive oil, seasoning blend, a pinch of pepper. Seasoning blend. This says meatloaf seasoning, so I'm assuming this is the seasoning blend. This says honey. Looks like this is the Dijon mustards and some butters. And I have no idea. I guess it must be something. What is that? Apple cider. That's our apple cider right here. So here we go. So I'm getting some extra virgin olive oil here. And it said 2 tablespoons. I'm going to semi-guesstimate that a little bit. That might be a little bit more than that. More than 2 tablespoons, we'll see. I think we're going to be okay. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and open this. It says it's meatloaf seasoning, but apparently it works just great for potatoes. Let's work that onto this. And it says I'm supposed to toss these, so I'm going to do it a little bit with my fingers here. And I did thoroughly wash my hands, I want you to know. Well, I'm also supposed to put a pinch of pepper or something on there, I think, wasn't I? So I can do some pepper. I'll hit it with some pepper here just in a second. Nikki would probably grind pepper and put on that. I'm going to use the old McCormick Pure Ground. I'm going to skip that little step. Hit a little bit more pepper on that, 'cause I do like pepper. Okay, moving along really well. And I'm assuming there's salt in with that other stuff there. Spread in a single layer on their half. Some overlap is okay. And roast in the hot oven until potatoes are fork tender. When potatoes roast, while potatoes roast, and prepare ingredients. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a fork. So I'm going to grab a fork to kind of spread those babies out a little bit. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Says some overlap is okay. I'm going to assume that that is absolutely correct. So there we go. And our oven is not quite hot enough yet. So while that is, we're going to wait for that till we start that cooking. I'm going to start preparing the other stuff. And it says, step 2, I'm supposed to trim and thinly slice green onions, keeping white and green portions separate. Okay, so I've got white and green portions here. I'm not going to use that kind of wilty part here on these. I'm going to use just the part that's, looks pretty nice. And I'm supposed to keep the white part separate. And I'm not going to use those little things on the end there. Maybe I'm supposed to. But sue me if I'm wrong. I'm going to go ahead and do the real tight little slices here. I know it's best if you can get them where you can just almost see through them. And I'm not doing that, but I'm getting pretty good there. I am a guy that does not like raw onions, but I can eat the heck out of them if they're cooked. So there we go. This is what I would consider the white part for the most part. There's a tad of green in there. We'll go ahead and cut this other up. That's the green part. That looks pretty decent to me. I'll trash the rest of this. Okay, keeping those parts separate. What am I supposed to do? Okay, I'm supposed to quarter the apple, remove the core, and cut into 1/2-inch dice. So I'm going to move all of this over to the side here, and we'll do that apple. Okay. Here is the old apple. Get rid of that stem. And we'll cut that. And we'll quarter it. Okay. Decord. Piece of onion off of there. I'm going to get this little burr thing out the butt end of the apple there. Okay, now we want to dice these babies too. So let's kind of do this deal here. Sounds like my oven is the right temperature. So I'm going to step aside for a second and put those potatoes in, get them cooking. Okay. That's not the prettiest thing in the world right here, these apples, but I think it's going to suffice. We'll see. Okay, So, those are in the oven. And now, let's see, I'm supposed to cook those for how long? 15 to 20 minutes. Alexa, set an alarm for 18 minutes.
18 minutes, starting now.
So Alexa is going to keep track of our time here. I'll go ahead and finish chopping these little apples up. In a mixing bowl, combine mustard, honey, apple cider vinegar, and a pinch of salt and pepper set aside in a mixing bowl. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so Nikki didn't leave me a mixing bowl, but I think she probably meant for me to do it in something like this. So that's what I'm going to use, is this baby right here. So I'm going to do it says mixing bowl, combined mustard, honey, apple cider vinegar. So we're going to do that. Here comes the mustard. Okay. Mustard is done. Nope, got one more mustard. Apple cider or cider vinegar, whatever that is. There goes that. Okay, that's in a cool little bottle. And it's supposed to have some honey, and there the honey is. Tare here. Okay, tare there. Okay. Let's put that in there too. Boy, that honey's thick. Go on down in there, baby. I have not been eating honey unless it just appears in foods. So I can go ahead and tell you now that these home chef things, you can tell them, what your conditions are, your health conditions. So I am diabetic. I'm working on that, trying to keep so I've got to be careful about eating a lot of sweets. So everything in here, though, is within the safe range for diabetes. So that is what we specified. So these meals, every one they send us, are diabetic friendly. So, okay, and this is a pinch of salt and pepper. Set it aside. Okay, here we go. I'm going to guess that's about a pinch. I'm going to guess that's about a pinch. Okay. Now, I'm just going to use this fork. I could use a spoon on there, but I'm going to go ahead and fork will whip it up really nice. So there's how that looks. There's my little sauce for that mess. Okay. Pat salmon dry and season flesh side with a pinch of salt and pepper. Okay. Flesh side. So this is the flesh side, this is the skin side. And let me go ahead and cut this open. Oh shit, Hendrix just scared me. Let's see. Okay, so I have the salmon here and I'm patting it dry. Very well. I cleaned it a little bit there too. So I think we got that in good shape. Alright, I'm supposed to season it with some salt and pepper, it says. So here comes my pinch of salt. Here comes my pinch of pepper. Okay. Now, I got to get a pan out and get it ready. So I do have a pan here, non-stick pan. That's what I'm going to use. It looks a little bit stained, but we keep them clean. It's just, I don't know what I cooked in there to make it do that. I'm supposed to use medium-high heat, it says. So I'm going to go level 8 on this oven over here. So there sits my pan with the olive oil. I got the salmon. And make sure I'm trying to follow these things absolutely to the T. Add 1 tablespoon olive oil and salmon, skin side up, to hot pan. Sear on one side until golden brown 2 to 4 minutes. So I'm going to trust that that is correct. Making sure my stuff is spread out pretty good here. My olive oil. So we're going to go skin side up. 2 to 4 minutes, it says. Sear on one side for 2 to 4 minutes. Transfer salmon to empty half of baking sheet, seared side up. Reserve pan, no need to wipe clean. Okay, we're going to do that. So when the salmon is done searing, I got to place it in the pan seared side up. On, I guess, the same pan that we got our potatoes on, right? It says finished potatoes and roast salmon. Okay, so maybe I've got the cart ahead of the horse here. I am supposed to put half that little sauce that I made here into a second bowl. Aha! I just pulled a bowl out, but Nikki gave me this, so I guess she read the instructions and saw that I was supposed to keep half of this out. There's such a little bit of it, it's hard to believe that it's going to go as far as it needs to go, but I'm going to guess that's about half of it right there. Okay. So I'm going to back off on the heat here on the salmon. I think that's probably seared sufficiently. I'm going to leave that be. Alexa, how much time is left on the timer?
You have 4 minutes and 30 seconds left on your
4 minutes and 30 seconds, okay. So the potatoes are still cooking for about another 4 minutes. You know what, I need a refreshing drink. I just got back from Valdez, walking this dog that I have. This is Hendrix, if you've not met him. Hendrix, say hey to everybody. How you doing, buddy? So that's Hendrix the Goldendoodle. He's like 3.5 months old at this point. So I'm pretty tired, actually, and kind of thirsty. I forgot to mention this, that Nikki had told me that she would air fry these pieces of salmon. And so she actually fixed me the air fry thing. I think she's already sprayed it with some nonstick. She told me to put it in there instead of doing it in the oven. She said this would work to go for about 13 minutes, 14 minutes, something like that, with the salmon cooking on air fry 375 degrees. She actually already had the air fryer set at 375 degrees. And we're going to go to air fry, right? Whoops. There's air fry. And so we're gonna do the salmon the way she said to do it, right there. So at this point we are going to deviate just slightly from the recipe. I'm going on what Nikki told me, and I trust her. She knows how to cook. My friends, I'm going to transfer that salmon over here onto this thing. And I'm going to doubly make sure that there's a good coat of stuff on here. I don't want my salmon sticking badly to that. Okay, so get a fork. So I'm supposed to do seared side up. Oh my Lord, look at that mess I'm making. Get underneath that thing really good, flip it over. And there we go. Now, I am supposed to put this sauce on this stuff, on this salmon. It says I'm supposed to brush or spoon this, but you know what? I'm going to pour it on there, and I'm going to spread it around a little bit with a fork. Alexa, stop alarm. Looks like it's on there good. And I'm going to do precisely what Nikki had suggested. Go ahead and put this into this air fryer over here. So here we go to the air fryer. And I'm going to go to about 13 or 14 minutes. That looks like it's about right. So the salmon is cooking. I'll get those potatoes out now. So that right there is how the potatoes look, and they surely do smell good. Here's the pan. It says not to clean that pan, just go ahead and use it. So I'm supposed to put just a bit more olive oil back in here. It looks like there's a little bit still in there. I'm going to go ahead and crank the heat back up on this pan. There's the olive oil, a little bit. Okay, now we're going to put those apples and onions in there. Supposed to do the apples and the white portions of the onions. Here comes both. Right now. I still got my green onions over here. This is a monster spoon to be stirring with, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyhow. Okay. I'm not supposed to add anything to it. I'm just supposed to stir them for 2 to 3 minutes until they're lightly browned. You folks will know better. You ladies out there in the world will know me to be an idiot or to be okay with this. Just going to stir them around a little bit. Could make them flip a little. I'm going to reduce that heat just a little bit. It says that I'm supposed to add slaw butter, 1/4 cup of water, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a pinch of pepper. Okay. So here goes that funky slaw. If I can get it open. Here we go. Slaw goes in. That's going to be good. About yay much water. Supposed to add the butter and some salt and some pepper. Okay. Here comes the salt. And here comes the pepper. And we got to add some butter to that too. Only get this one pat of butter in that whole mess right there. That's crazy, isn't it? Little bitty pat of butter. But you know what? Maybe that's all it's going to take. Just something to flavor it a little bit, huh? There we go. Who'd have thunk to put all this mess together? The people at Kroger that do the home chef. So here I am, a home chef tonight. I know I've kind of made a mess down here on the stove. I'll be cleaning all that up later so Nikki doesn't get mad at me. The problem here is I may not have picked a big enough pan. That might not be a big enough pan to do everything that I have to do here. Got to cook this until the liquid is evaporated. Now the salmon is over here cooking. It's looking like it's doing pretty well. The salmon is in there, I don't know if you can see it. And we got a little bit longer to go. I'm going to go ahead and put those other onions in now, the green ones. I don't think it's going to be bad if they cook into that a little bit too, because I'm sensitive to onions unless they've been cooked a bit. So probably putting those in there just a little bit prematurely. But I think it's going to be okay for me, my sort of eating anyway. So we're getting close to being reduced down where there's no fluid in there. So the salmon is almost finished cooking. The other Hero just died. The Hero 8 just sucked the battery dry for some night. I was doing 4K, and this 7 might end here pretty soon too. We've got just another couple minutes here for the salmon. I'm going to put those potatoes in there. I think it's time to go ahead and put the potatoes in there into this. So I'm turning the heat off at this point. And it says just to carefully put them in there. And you know what? I might not have, probably should have sprayed that pan. It said just to put olive oil though, didn't it? So they're stuck just a little bit. That's the one thing I might have done. I might have put some non-stick oil on that just to make sure I wasn't getting this little bit of stickage here. It's not sticking bad though. So I'm going to do what it said. I'm going to carefully put them in there. The onions I put in about a minute and a half ago. Let them cook just a little. Okay. So I am now supposed to remove from the heat, and that is how it looks, my friends. It looks pretty great. I'm going to go ahead and mix that just a little. I know I probably shouldn't use a fork in there, so I'm being careful not to hit that non-stick. So there's apples, there's slaw, there's potatoes, there's some seasonings and stuff. There's little onions in there. And it looks, I have to say, it smells fantastic, my friends. You just don't know how nice that smells. Mixing it all up. So that's sort of the, what would you call that? The mishmash of vegetables from this. I'm going to go ahead and clean the stove up while we're here. I'm going to go ahead and get the salmon out. Hopefully I've not overcooked it. Ooh, it's very black. It's blackened. We might have cooked it just a little longer than I should have. I don't know. Actually, though, even though the salmon looks a little bit blackened, I don't think it's overdone. It looks good inside. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. It just looks like it's been blackened a little bit, which is okay in my opinion. Hendrix was barking at a fork that I dropped. So now what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and plate this. Now that salmon does not look beautiful, but it looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this sauce on it. Sort of like that. So you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. And I'm not cheating Nikki. She told me to go ahead and eat all this tonight. I've not eaten much today. This is going to be a big old meal for me. So there's the rest of the sauce. Now my friends, that is not perfect, but it's not bad either. That is my meal for tonight. And I'm going to tell you how it tastes after I eat it. I'm not going to tell you anything now. I'm going to really give this thing a go here and see how this is going to taste. But it looks really nice. It smells fantastic. So what did I think of that, folks? It was great. The only thing I would do differently is probably cook that salmon about a minute less. So I did get maybe just a little bit overdone, but it wasn't dry. But it was a little probably more done than it should have been. So I nailed it on the potatoes and stuff. I still got that much of it left. I'm gonna save that for Nikki. She wasn't gonna eat any of the salmon anyway, so I polished that salmon off. But that was really good. Everything so far, seriously, that I've tried. If you're gonna try this, I'm not getting paid. This is not some sort of endorsement that's being paid in any way. This is just really from the heart. It's good stuff. It's good food. The Home Chef stuff, I don't know that we're going to keep on doing it. It's just, can we afford to? It's not super expensive. Probably about the same as it would be if you'd go out. Maybe probably a little less, considering you're not driving out, considering you're not doing a tip, and still it's probably a little bit less. But boy, it is restaurant quality type food, and it's healthy stuff. I've not been gaining any weight eating that. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about my cooking skills. I'm here to tell you, it's great. It's always better when somebody else cooks it, though, isn't it? But I think Nikki's going to like it, and that's going to be cool. She is out there on the front lines, battling coronavirus as a respiratory therapist. She's an awesome bachelor, BSRT is what she's called, or RRT, BSRT, something like that. And so really cool to get to do this tonight and save her some of this potato slaw, apple stuff, which I think really is fantastic. Peace to all who watch again, and do subscribe and hit that bell if you want to hear more and know when I'm putting stuff out there in the world. Thanks.